not be here, but she did leave a few things for me, so I can read through those if we wanted this time. The first thing she had was that the Arizona We Want 2.0 was released by the Center for the Future of Arizona recently. Two of the key findings are that, quote, education is the key driver of Arizona's economy, unquote, and that, quote, Arizonans believe the strength of the state rests in local communities, unquote. On page 2 it also states that, and I'm quoting, the Center on Education and the Workforce estimates that 61% of all Arizona jobs will require some training beyond high school by 2018, unquote. There's another comment about education in Arizona, that we have high education aspirations yet low investments in performance. We recognize the need for a diverse, balanced economy that will yield a larger number of high-paying jobs, yet population growth and housing remain our dominant economic identity. We'll be one of the first states in the nation where the minority population becomes the majority, yet we're not adequately educating the younger members of our new majority for success in the economy of the future. It's available at arizonafuture.org. For January 28th, I think she's just included some of the email alerts that we get from Jonas Palmer and from ASBA. January 28th, the meeting began with the State Board of Ed, where ASBA outlined their priorities for the upcoming legislative session. They talked about the importance of fully funding implementation of Common Core and recent court ruling on fully funding inflation across the board under Prop 301. Also, their legislative efforts, including the Teacher Principal Evaluation Cleanup Bill and HB 2060, which would allow those of us on the school board to censure each other if someone is acting outside of their authority, not following district policies, missing board meetings, or being disruptive in board meetings, or worse, in educational environments. That 2060, which is the bill I was just speaking of, did pass with a vote of 6-1, with 2 members voting present in House Education. 2202 had to do with school district leases, passed on an 8-1 vote, extends the period in which boards are able to enter into lease agreements from 10 years, up to 10 years from 5. Certain districts would also be allowed to call for an override election to exceed Coral during periods of expending lease proceeds on capital outlay. The ASBA supported that. There was one, 2427, passed on a 9-0 vote. That has to do with the unified district, so I won't read that. 2168, which has to do with increasing the dropout age, should not have to do with us. Hopefully we don't have too many 18-year-old students. And 2071 ADE operations passed on a 9-0 vote, allowing ADE to charge a convenience fee when conducting credit or debit transactions. Electronic signatures for teachers, HB 2403 passed on a 9-0 vote. 2458 has to do with the Empowerment Scholarship Account and fraud prevention, passed on a 6-3 vote. Allows Department of ADE to monitor fraudulent activity in voucher programs. There were attempts to do some other things via some amendments that didn't pass. And for February 4th, Education Committee meeting, HB 2196, promotion certificates for 8th grade. It removes the ability of boards to request certificates of promotion from the county school superintendent and allows schools to hold an 8th grade promotion ceremony for students. Not sure how that differs from what we do right now. 2441 is electronic fingerprinting, passed 9-0. Allows DPS to contract with an entity to provide electronic or internet-based fingerprinting services for individuals applying for renewing a teaching certificate. 2488, I don't know if Mr. Zaragoza wants to talk about that at all, or anyone else. That is a bill that, I'll slow down on that one. That currently, as we've heard from from Dr. Jeff Smith in our neighboring district of Balts. Schools can extend their calendar from a 180-day to a 200-day calendar, and in so doing, they get a 5% bonus in their state funding in exchange for that 11% increase in the number of days. So under this bill, instead of a 5%, it would be an 8% bonus. And whereas currently the entire district has to do this, this bill would allow this to be done in only certain schools. So this could be something that we could do in certain schools in our district, for example, that might decide they want that and not in others. And that has, I think, mostly Republican co-sponsors and is moving. It still has to go to appropriations.
I'll just say that I called the bill sponsor. I didn't get a response yet. To just ask if there was any consideration for length of day, because I don't think it's about number of days, but it's minutes of instruction that should count. I haven't heard back yet, so I don't really have anything to comment on other than I'm looking into it.
Okay. 2496, schools petitions, regulatory exemptions, passed on a 5-2-1 vote. Allows charter schools in addition to school districts to be exempt from certain rules and statutes. The letter grade of A is maintained for 2 of the last 3 years. And finally, there's one having to do with JTEDs, which does not apply to us. So, any other? You probably want this, Hilda, if you're going to.
Hey, Matt, who's the sponsor on the bill that would allow boards to censure one another?
Actually, can I see that in case it's out there? It probably wasn't. You know, I think there were several board members, or several legislators. I'm thinking it may have been some from South Phoenix, including others. I could be wrong.
I mean, I feel like every year there's something about how governing boards could or should do their business, including like kicking someone off or excessive absences, things like that. So I guess this is a question I have. Couldn't we just adopt our own policies on governing ourselves? As far as I understood, that's what we could do already. Is there something that prohibits us from doing that without the legislature adopting a new bill telling us how to do our business?
Well, I don't think we can kick each other off.
No, I know, the censure thing.
A censure,
I'm not trying to censure anyone here. But I felt like if I wanted to, we could figure it out.
I don't know what the legal consequences of a censure necessarily are. If it's a reprimand, I suppose there
yeah, when I
could be
read the bill,
something
it
done.
didn't seem like there was any real consequences, so I didn't really understand it.
What was?
It's not that. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay. It's really not that important. I don't want to spend any more time on this.
okay.
Thank you.
Sounds good. The next is future agenda items. Does anyone have any future agenda items? Or are there any ones that are on here that we have not scheduled that we would like to?
Mr. President, I'd like to put on the, I don't know how we do this. I guess I'd like to continue the conversation about the videotaping of board meetings and early enough so that it's part of our budget process so that we can budget that in. So I don't know if that requires an action from the board, but we should put that on a meeting in the near future. Please.
Okay. Well, we are going to pass you an orange card or golden rod for you to fill that out. Are there any other things, Dr. Boyle, Dr. Wagner, that are on there that might be coming up that you need us to list? Okay, that's true. We will have. That's true. We will know more after Saturday.
I just wanted to say Dr. Lugo is researching the tripod surveys, so in the next month or so she should be providing some information to the board. And then another reminder at our study session on Saturday, there is an item, the last item on the agenda also is future agenda items if between now and then, and as a result of your conversations with that.
Okay. If that's If there's nothing else, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.